All right, I'm gonna be doing a oil change on my Honda Pioneer. As you can see, it's just the start of winter, November, but my 600 mile change has come and gone. So I grabbed this nice tarp too for the Pioneer. Has a zipper on this side if you need access, and it just has these bungee straps too. So I got it from Rocky Mountain ATV out of Utah, and they ship like within 48 hours for free. It's pretty sweet. So it's a nice outfit to get stuff from. Okay, the first thing we're gonna do is pop the seat, which you should know how to do. You just lift it off the pegs and then slide those out. As you can see, I've moved mine around to the other side, and I haven't bolted it on yet. I just have it zip tied because I'm in the process of, I actually was doing it last winter and I never got to the project this summer of building a frame that we're going to weld in here to drop a full-size battery in. At some point I'll get to that project and pick up where I left off last summer or last winter. So you've got your, this is where you're going to put oil in, and down below is the drain plug to check the level, and it just screws out to the left, screws back in. To access the drain though, you've got to get underneath, and there's a plate that needs to come off. It's right there, and we are going to take I think it's size 10 or 12, and just screw those 4 bolts out, and then slide that plate that's probably 6 inches by 6 inches just forward up inside the housing, and then it'll expose the drain, and then I've got my oil pan there. Okay, so those are 10mm bolts. We'll just back them wrong way. Make sure I don't lose those, and we're just gonna back all 4 of them out. Okay, so we backed out all 4, and then you can just slide this plate. I got a bunch of mud and dirt in there. Just slide this around until it's out of the way. I need to spray out my machine. Okay, so I had those 4 bolts out, and then I've got so much mud and debris up in there I need to spray out that I couldn't just slide it this way, so I'm just sliding it off to the side. No matter how you do it, you're exposing that right there, and I believe that should be, I can't remember if it's 12 or 17. I'll go grab my stuff. All right, so that's a 17. So make sure you undo the bigger bolt. If I remember right, it is a long bolt. Oh, I didn't put my gloves on. And let that all drain out. Okay, while that's draining down there, you can just slip this cover off. Maybe. Man, that's tight. Oh, that's so you just need this half exposed. And then down here, this right here, this circular piece is the oil filter, and there's a bolt on there, and we're going to back that bolt straight out and then slide the whole cylindrical unit out this way. See if I can get a better picture. You can see it. So we're just going to loosen that bolt and slide that whole cylinder with the cap and everything out of there. All right, so when you go to take this out, it will drain, so make sure it'll drain to the bottom. There's a hole in the bottom of your floor, so make sure you pull your oil pan over. Try to adjust my light so you can see. Yeah, so you can see my oil pan down there, the curve of it. I think it's gonna drip into that. And I think I've got this just about loosened. It's a 12 millimeter. I don't want you to be on film while I'm unscrewing the whole thing. Now, when you get this bolt out, sometimes that cap, this cap is stuck, and so you've got to pry it a bit. Sometimes with the screwdriver, don't mar the metal, but just give it a pry so that cap comes off. Okay, so I'm just gonna pry that slightly. Just there's a lip. You can just give it a pry and it'll start to come out. Okay, and that should do it. You might need to pry a little more on the sides, but I'm going to need to use two. Okay, so I've pried it loose and I'm sliding it out and I'm bringing it all up as one unit. So that's what slides out. Loosen that bolt, give this lip a little bit of a pry. Make sure it comes out. There's a metal washer that will go on the new filter between this housing and here. I think that might be it right there. No, that's the spring. There's a metal washer down in here. Okay, so you just slide that unit off, and technically the new filter can go on either way. But this metal washer needs to come out of here and be on the new inside of that unit. So if you want to keep track of it, you can just slide it on there. Okay, let's go grab our new filter. So I've been using, I only use the Honda stuff, and I just go grab it from my Honda dealer. This is what I've been using. And it'll use about almost the full 4 quarts. And then I just buy the filter too, straight from Honda. They're genuine parts. And that little washer doesn't come with it. You have to ask for it. But that's for your drain plug. It helps to cinch it tight. You can use the one that's on there a couple times, or some people using it a few times. But since they just give it to me when I'm at the store, I punch a hole and throw it in here so I don't lose track of it. All right, so we're just going to, we've got that metal washer. We're just gonna pop that on there. Make sure it's inside the housing. Slide that on so it's tight. Okay, and then we're just gonna screw this back into place. I cleaned up the debris, and then I took a little bit of oil and kind of wetted down that O-ring so it seals snugly. And we're just gonna screw that back on. As memory recalls, sometimes this can be tricky getting it to line up and thread back in. It's a weird angle and it takes a little bit unless you get lucky. And took me like 20 seconds to find the right angle to get it to spin on into place. So I finally found it and then just started screwing it, and you can hand tighten it most of the way. If you've got debris down there, you might want to brush it off. I think I got most of mine so you don't pin any dirt or rocks in there. So I'm going to hand snug it, and then I'm going to use the wrench to get it the rest of the way. And then it'll be reseated into place. Okay, once you've got that on, you're done down this hatch. So you put this guy back on. And again, that was a 12 millimeter bolt head. Just close that all back up again, and then we'll go down underneath and reverse our process. We'll put the drain plug back in, and on the drain plug you have this washer. Take the old one off if you want, and then put this new one on. Again, this washer, you have to ask for it at the store. It does not come with this filter, so but you can reuse the old one if you need to. And then we're gonna put the 4 screws back in that plate. And those, the drain plug is 17 millimeter, and the screws, the bolts that go up in to put the plate back in place are 10. So before you put the drain plug back on, take off this old washer. It's pinned up against here and you might not notice it. So take it off and put this new washer on. And then make sure this O-ring is in place and it didn't come off at some point in the process. So I'm gonna set that new washer there and take this old one off. Okay, something I'd forgotten, to get that old washer off, I had to slip the O-ring off. It took some prying to get it off, and a little nervous about it being looser than it was when I took it off, but I did it before, so I might grab some more of these O-rings just in case you break it or something in this process. So anyway, we'll slip this guy back on with that new washer and close this all up. See if I can film this. I don't need to. You're just reversing the process. And then there's a metal clip that clips onto this plate on each of these. And this one for me came off. So I'm just screwing it into the plastic. One thing, you can reach over and reach up on top. You can see my finger there and pin this down. And that's kind of what I was doing. Yeah, that clip came off somewhere. I think I might have pinned it back in here. So I'll have to buy a new clip. I don't know if I can order that from Honda and get this 4th one in there. And what that clip does is it just clips over this plate on the edge. It's flat and it has a hole in it, and it allows you to screw this bolt up into it. Otherwise it's just a plastic hole in here. So it must have popped off up in here when I was messing around with things. So when we're putting this in, it takes about 3.7 quarts, so you have a little bit of this left over. And it goes down kind of slow, so I do like to use this funnel. And we'll check its levels as we go. All right, so we're gonna check the dipstick. I pulled it out and cleaned it off. And we won't have to screw it when we go to put it back in. We'll just stick it all the way in without screwing it tight. Take a look at that. And get it to focus. It doesn't want to focus, but you can't see it, but I can. It's between the 2 lines, so I think we're good. I'm gonna screw that back on there, and after I run it, I didn't run it just now because I'm pressed for time. I gotta get out of here and go somewhere. But if, like, the next day I check it again and it's after I run it for a bit and let it sit for a few minutes, I'll just add a little more oil. But this is probably to about right here to the bottom of the white left over, and that usually fills it up. So it's like 3.7 or so. And that's it. Put your cap on and you're good to go. And then I'll show you how to do this. You press this button and hold it and turn your key forward, and it turns off the little wrench that's on there. So let me see if I can do that and let you see. See that? So I was holding this, I turned the key forward without starting it, and just kept holding this until the wrench comes off. Okay, so that's it. That's how you change the oil on a Honda Pioneer 700. Pretty simple, straightforward process. So that's it. Good luck on your oil change.